Hi, I'm Joe Scacciaferro, CEO Ferro City, and this is On Location. All right, well, this one's unique. We have a return guest who actually leveled up, as they say, and evolved. And going back to his original on cam, he was on Ask a Pro and apparently got some good advice because now he's a pro. Welcome, Nick Siliverdes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thrilled to be here.
No, I'm so excited. And we purposely did not have any conversation prior to because I wanted to hear all about what you've been doing. And it was interesting because I did go back and look at the original interview, mainly so I made sure I didn't mispronounce your name again, as I did in that one. And I probably did it again. But anyway, let's get past that. So tell us, what have you been doing?
So I was very fortunate to get a internship, really a entry-level position with season 14 of Shark Tank. And I've been working in their post-production department as a transcriber and, helping with some other stuff at different levels in the post-production process.
And that's not a minor step in. That's a big step in.
Yeah, I guess I took a lot of the advice to heart from the last time we spoke. And I was very fortunate to have this opportunity. And I've worked with some amazing people currently. And they're so amazing in sharing and, they share their knowledge so well and they put you under their wing so closely. I work with just such amazing people. To begin a career is just outstanding.
That's so good to hear, but I'm not surprised. I mean, one of the things that everybody thinks is that all of us who've succeeded are so guarded. But if you're talented and you're good and you've already accomplished, you do want to see other people achieve. I mean, it really is part of the game. You get the same rush out of you succeeding as you do out of that. So tell me, let's go through how you landed this.
So, well, that's a question my father asked me all the time. I said, how'd you get that again? I said, I really am not too sure, but I'll never take anything for granted. I went to college at UCF, University of Central Florida, and the executive producer of Shark Tank, Mr. Clay Newbill, went to UCF, and he provides 4 internships / entry-level positions every year to 4 members of the production major. And I guess through whatever impressions I made upon one of my professors, he recommended me as one of the 10. They recommend 10 and they put 10 people forward. I was one of the 10 he recommended for the position. Really just, you can slack off sometimes in college classes, but I showed up for this professor's class every day because it was a challenge and I worked hard. And even the smallest thing, the smallest impression really, helped push me forward to get a chance at this opportunity. And really, his recommendation plus my interview with Mr. Newbill, everything just kind of seemed to work out and fall in line in that way.
Okay, now I'm going to unpack a lot of what you just said because there's brilliant wisdom in what you said. Right off the bat, you have to show up every time. You can't lay back because you don't know who's watching. You don't know what that person has in store for you. And you always have to have your best foot forward, regardless of what everybody around you is doing and what's going on. That's who gets the breaks. This isn't a gifted. Sometimes it is. Sometimes there's, some people get in by gift, but you don't stay. And you're proof of that. And again, you got in, no connections, right? Nobody.
None.
Right. And you went, boom. That's a great position. And I can tell you quite honestly, knowing you, as we've met and kept track of each other over time, you're not going to fail now. because you stepped in at a high level, and you will take advantage. Just again, knowing your personality, you're going to take advantage of it. You're going to showcase your abilities, and you just said, and that's part of the other half of what I wanted to unpack. Everybody around you is teaching you. That's only a benefit if you're listening.
Absolutely.
And if you're learning, right?
Oh, absolutely. I had the pleasure of one of the AEs. I had to work hand in hand with him because there were some technical difficulties, early in the season, when we were first shooting, and there were some issues where transcribers. There's multiple of us. We couldn't do our job, and I went into the studio because I was the only one. Because I'm in Los Angeles now, actually, in person, working there, and because I was here and available, I went in and I met an amazing AE, and he kind of just, we worked together through the issues, but he showed me and gave me some real insight to what it's really about, and he showed this is what he does and things like that. It's just incredible knowledge that I was able to soak in, just right off the bat, of just a crazy opportunity for someone just coming out of school, to soak up any knowledge, but to get really the tricks of the trade of somebody who's already, a step ahead, years ahead of me, is just unbelievable.
What's an AE? I know what it is, but
Assistant editor.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, those are the guys. I mean, all everything, every person. And another thing you happen to, I don't know if it was purposeful or it was just what your decision was, being there. This world of remote is cool, but it's lazy. And, it doesn't replace those, whoever's next to me is who I relate to. I have a lot of people. We do a lot of remote virtual work. Hybrid virtual production is a big deal now, but it doesn't replace being there, because the only time you can have this is when you're actively in the middle of working or recording, or you're on air. But it's most of the relationships and the knowledge is gained after, when things are downtimed and you have time and people can talk to you and relate to you and ask you questions and you're hanging out. We call them road case stories. That's where most people, in live concerts, live tours, live anything where there's road cases and there's a backstage, you're there, you're hanging out, you're doing that. So awesome. So tell me a little bit about it had to be a rush, right? Showing up.
Oh yeah. So I mean, for me, I'm not usually someone who's easily starstruck. I kind of just take pressure and I'm able to handle it, and expectations, things like that. But it's a real surreal feeling. Just I was on set because of COVID restrictions. I mean, even here, where especially I'm in Los Angeles, things are very remote still, and speaking to people, they don't know that it'll go back to the way it used to be fully ever again. But whatever it might be, I was able to go into the studio and to see how they work, in just such collective teams. Like, you have your post-production team that shoots the post, or the production team that shoots the production, the actual production, and the pitches, and then you have the interview team, and it's like a perfect line of just, I don't know how to describe, but what they do, it's just so intricate and so perfectly thought out. I mean, there's a reason they're going on for 14 seasons now, and why they're so successful. But it just being on studio and on set, it's a surreal feeling, because these are some of the most knowledgeable people in the world, referring to the Sharks, and just any information that you can listen to them speak, whether I'm transcribing or I just see them on set and they're talking about something, any information you could soak up from them is just lifelong, really important information.
Yeah, and you're speaking of talent, right?
Yes.
So you're saying talent's having their own road case stories and conversations, and you're able to interface to some degree with them.
Well, not with them yet because of COVID restrictions. Towards the end of this shooting pod, it's actually, there'll be a chance for it, but really it's just listening to their conversations between each other,
right,
and things that they're speaking about. It's just incredible knowledge.
Yeah, I kind of misrepresented that because even if there was no COVID, newbies not going to be able to just walk up to talent and say, "Hey, what's up? Hey, can you give me some pointers on what?" That isn't how that plays out. But just being there in the intimate environment, that's the other thing. We in the world, in the industry, know that sets aren't as big as they seem to be, and things aren't as vast as you might expect when you're watching it on a monitor or a phone or whatever device you're on. When you're there, all of a sudden you go, shh,
Oh yeah,
right?
it is like it's unbelievable what they do, and I was able to walk through the Sony Pictures set and just see them building different sets. I mean, for different things. I didn't see what they were, but it's all combined in like a warehouse or like it looks like just like a normal warehouse, but inside it's this intricate, beautiful set that we see on television or online or wherever we see it, and it's surreal. It's surreal to actually look at.
Yeah, you know what? I'm smiling like a little girl here, or like a little person. I mean, I don't send me emails, don't blow me up on Twitter. It's I get a kick out of it. I love it. I mean, and I've been doing this several lifetimes already. But when I walk into a sound stage that's built, we're building a set tomorrow in a new studio or an old studio that's getting a facelift. And I was looking at the renderings and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool." Oh, da, da, da. It's ridiculous that I should still be so jazzed, but that's what keeps it. That's what keeps you excited. I mean, I could just see the look on your face. You
Oh,
definitely.
oh, absolutely. I mean, and especially where I'm located. I'm located, in the Burbank area. I mean, there's studios everywhere. Warner Brothers is down the street, and I see that from my apartment complex. It's just everywhere you go. There's something there's studios and places and things to look at. NBC's building a brand new studio across the street from me, and I'm just seeing it, and it looks so plain, but it just what's inside is just, I mean, magical is really the way to put it.
Yeah, no. And sound stages, like a film sounds, any real big sound stages, even out here, the shipyard and any of those other places, they look like airplane hangars. Looks like a big old airplane hangar, and that's that until you walk inside, and all of a sudden it's like some secret world was built. And as you continue to walk down, you're walking through various worlds.
Yeah.
There may be 15, 20 locations or scenes built in there. And like you said, down to the finite detail.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I was so like genuinely honored to actually be a part of this whole thing, but be able to be on set, it's just such an important thing. I mean, technically, sorry about that, sirens. Technically, it's Los Angeles living. Technically, I didn't graduate until about a month ago or a few weeks ago because of whatever technicalities, but because the school handles the internship. But I mean, just right out of school and being able to be just launched into the actual production world and, not taking any time off, no baby steps, just throw right into the fire. I feel like I've thrived and become better at, so far what I've done because of it. And because I'm able to see how things work on the inside. I don't think I ever considered how it actually worked on the inside. I just said, oh, I love production. I love creating things, but you don't see the intricate details of the set and how they work together of all the people in the production. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, there's two. Well, I'm going to stay on that, but I want to jump to something else. So in that world, one of the things you just opened your mind to is how many gigs there are. I mean, most people come out of school and you think, okay, you can be a camera operator, you can be a lighting, you can be sound, or you can be talent. And you have to fit into, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh, wait, there are subversions of all of those things. There are hundreds and hundreds of not just people, but different gigs. And some overlap and some don't. So all of a sudden you realize, wow, there's a lot of things I want to try. It's like all of a sudden seeing this amazing dessert tray and you just want to try everything, right? You get so excited when you see all that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just, yeah, the levels to everything is just something you don't initially think of, when you're coming out of school.
Okay, so here's the other question on the other side of this. And I have allergies. I'm still on the Northeast, and we're just heading into fall. So the let's go 3 days after you were told you were awarded this internship or this position. The first 2 days, the minute it happened, you're probably in shock. Then you get a day of like, wow, this is so cool. I'm so excited. So then around the third day, you go, oh shit, this is terrifying. Was that kind of the play?
That third day is like, well, okay, I'm in Florida now. I need to move to California, find a place in Los Angeles. I need to get my car out there. I need to, get work clothes, make sure all my equipment, computers, everything that's good for the thing. I need to know what I'm doing. When am I going to start? When am I going to fit? It was so much like in the matter of, so that third day is exactly when I started thinking of it. And I just kind of wrote a list and helped calm it down. But it was like that rush. The first 2 days is really just like, for the first day is like, I can't believe that happened. Second day is like, oh, I want to tell everybody. Third day is like, oh, and reality sets in. But everything you have to do, especially, with any job, but especially I had to relocate 2,000 miles away. So it was definitely a little shock to the system, but everything worked out beautifully.
Do you have friends and family out there? Is there anybody out there that you know?
No, my only family is in Long Island and Florida. So I don't have anybody out here. I met some wonderful people here. I became close friends with, but no, there's nobody out here. It's just myself. Everyone else is 2,000 miles away.
And the LA Hollywood community is different than like New York. We are a community, but LA Hollywood is very different because almost everybody you come in contact with works in the industry. There's like, you go out to a bar, you go to a club, you go to a restaurant, just about everybody there touches the industry one way or another. So that part of it in the beginning was a little unnerving for me because I have other interests and I like to do and I enjoy people who don't do this.
Right.
But when I was out there, I was like, what? Nobody does anything but this.
Yeah. All the people I've met, they've been wonderful, but the first person I met, he does music producing, a good friend of mine. And then, I met somebody who lives directly above me. He is an extra. He's an extra on a Warner Brothers show, and he's starring in He's starring in Love Island in this upcoming season. And I met a guy who edited the last Sofia Vergara project. Lives in my complex. He did a lot of the editing for it. So it was just like shocker after shocker. Like everybody does that here. And I'm not directly in Burbank. Burbank is all post-production everywhere. Production, every person I met when I was touring apartments too. Just everybody, oh, I do this, I do that. I work for Warner Brothers, I work for NBC, whatever it might have been. Everybody does it. So it's like, wow, this is like, if you need connections, just go out, talk to anybody. Everyone here is so friendly. Everybody wants to talk to you. It's a little different from the Northeast that I'm used to where I grew up. But everybody just does production out here of some sort, pretty much.
All right, I'm going to defend my Northeast heritage. So I've worked on both coasts for years and years and years and years. So here's how I've broken it out. In the Northeast, it takes forever to make a close friend. But once you do, you have them for life. On the West Coast, it takes 15 minutes to meet your best friend. And you only have them for however long they feel like until the next best friend comes up. And that's not a slight. It is a slight on the West Coast. I'm sorry. I'm an East Coast boy.
I'm an East Coast guy. Grew up in Jersey. I get it. But
right.
I really found that people here, it's like they've reached their destination. This is where they want to be. And it's a much different drive in the Northeast. There's just the drive. We'll keep going, never stops, always hustling. Here, it's more of a relaxed, laid back sort of feel because they've reached their destination here, I feel like.
And have you found that like just the diversity of where people come from? Because where you are is a destination for production people in all talent, whatever, from all over the country.
I feel like they're. I feel like people here, you can tell when they're from somewhere else. I think, I've met some people from the Northeast. I've met some people here that are from the Northeast, and the way they work, and the way they interact is, I wouldn't say more business oriented, because everyone is always trying, getting work done and doing it properly is the most important thing. But the people I've met from the Northeast, I feel like have a more center focus on that, and more, let's drive it home, and then everyone else is like, we're doing all right. Let's keep going. Not coast, but let's keep going on our current pace. That's the interactions I've had so far, and neither way is the wrong way. It's just I'm used to one way, so when I learned about having not coasting again, but kind of just riding into the sunset, sort of, it was a little bit of a shock to me in my system, because that's not what I'm used to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you said that really well. So let's talk a little bit about, now that you've had some time to look around and see different things, talk to different people that are doing different things. Has your direction or path, or have you thought about other things you might want to try?
Well, I do enjoy, being in post. I also would I like to write. I like to try to be creative. I like to see the way things are put together. I've always said I want pre or post production is where I would make my, I think I would make my mark. I think creativity is something I thrive on, and not saying you're not creative in actual being on set production. It's just I haven't had too much experience with that yet. But with my experiences in post and some pre back at school, I really enjoyed being part of the whole setup and the whole close. Just really any part of it I love. It's just I do like the ability to feel. It's not the For me, it always felt like I'm creating something with my hands and my mind in post or pre, because it's like I feel like I have the control here, and I just love having an intricate part in a production or something that it's like, wow, you know what, I thought of this. This was a great idea. I'm really proud to see this come to light, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, let me give you what you just defined. You're a storyteller, and that in the end, that's if you're in pre and you're in post, you're a storyteller. If you're in the center of all of that, you're a creator. You're a frontline creator. You have vision. You have ears. You're more textile. You're working in that world. The front and the back are where the storytellers land. Whether it's your story or not, usually it's not your story until you've been at this a long time, but you're contributing to the storyline and on either end, or how that story gets pulled together in post. And then there's the splintering of all of that. You become animated. There's graphic animations. There's, Chiron operators. There's that. And then there's where you are, there's a big, big segue into film. Episodic and film work is out there. That is a different world than television altogether. So talk about it. When you're doing what you're doing, what's your day? Let's do that. Give me a couple of days in a row. What happens?
So typically it's very similar every day. Once the runner comes back with all the film, it's uploaded. It's uploaded online, and we use the software that they provide to. I watch down the pitches, and I transcribe everything that's said from the beginning. The clip starts, the second the clip ends. There's different breakdowns of how we do it to be more efficient, but it's really just watching pitches, and watching pitches, writing what they say, analyzing it, and while we're doing it, I have a list, and me and my supervisor go back and forth about which ones I'd like to follow up on after they're past me, because it's important. She told me, and I want to see it myself. It's important to see, where you think things that I see would be great on TV, right? Do the producers think that will be great on TV? And, follow after the cuts, and see where that goes. And that's really, but really my day is just, I transcribe, and things that I see that are important, I write them down. And I speak with my supervisor a little bit back and forth about, seeing where these go in the next steps, because It's really, this is just the start. You hope to level up and, evolve, and not just being okay and stagnant at this one level. I really always am thinking towards what's next, um, in this situation. So I'm watching a pitch. I see, okay, this is an unbelievable moment. I'll write down the time code. I'll talk about it with my supervisor. And once that's actually, not to its final cut, but before to the rough cut, then I'll see what I thought would be good in there, if it made it, things that did make it, things like that. So that's really the extent of my position as of now, and that, and just correcting and making sure transcripts are correct. That's really what I do so far.
And it's what you're saying is something that is I've I instilled in every intern, every first rung person that's ever been there. I said, don't take logging and transcribing as grunt work. It's, oh, I just have to do this and I get past it. I said, you are the eyes and the ears to the producers and to the editors. If you find a shot, whatever we're doing, whether it's a musical or sports or episodic, if you see a shot, if you see a moment, if you see an expression, if you hear something that you think, there's so much footage that producers can't see everything, and they may go right over it, or an editor may go right over it. So you are giving us the fine cut. You are giving us that important fodder that we need to look at. So when you find, if as a producer, if I find an assistant producer or an intern who's doing transcription or doing logging, that knows their stuff, I can identify that person as somebody who's going, you've got producer instincts. And I'm talking television. We call producers different than film does. You have those instincts. You know what works and what doesn't. And your AE gave you great advice, if that's who gave it to you, was follow it. Because if you're putting up stuff that you think is good, or you what you didn't do something and they picked it up, and then it became that, you get a sense of their style. You get a sense of their thought process. And then you could start feeding into that much more efficiently.
Right. There's a specific marking we have on the transcripts where there's a high energy moment you need to mark it. And you could choose a lot of high energy moments, but I choose this when I do my transcripts. I choose specific ones because there's a lot of yelling. I mean, this is it's a high intensity show. There's a lot of yelling. There's a lot of people talking over each other, but there's really only a few times where there's real high energy, real importance. And I make sure to mark it on that. And those things are really what I'll write down, because, the producers and whoever goes to, after me and after the transcripts are finalized, before they go for their cuts, they look for that marking. They look for those markings, and those markings they have to be right. In like the way I look at it, like this marking has to be something that could go on TV, not something that, oh, they're yelling, but it doesn't mean anything because they're overlapped by two other people. It's not gonna make the final cut. So for me, I always used it as a marking of, this is important and it should, and I think it's something that I'm thinking something that I would see when I watch the show myself.
Well, I mean, you learned a lot in a short period of time. That last statement is it, because, I have had a lot of people, this is a great shot. I said, it is, but what happens when that person walked through it? Yeah, the little tiny bit in the front was awesome, but I can't use it because that happened. Or this is a great audio moment, but as you said, yeah, there's a great statement, but it's buried underneath three other people talking. And you can't extrapolate that and put it up here. So you also have to understand the technical, how things work. What's good for broadcast? I can't believe you've already learned that. That's awesome. Good for you. Hey!
I mean, it's just something I've always thought of, like, that things that make sense, things that don't. I've always been someone who's trying to be efficient, and not just efficient with time, but efficient and always giving full effort. It's just, I figure it's not why work harder, work smarter, because that's people take that as people use that phrase to be lazy. It's just, if I see something that I've seen them put this on TV before. I'm going to market. I have to. It's something that just bothers me. It's like you can't have this missed, because if it's missed, who are they going to look at? Well, it's going to go to the bottom of the guy who was lazy and didn't do what he was supposed to be doing, and put out that, oh, this is an important moment. You didn't do that. They're going to miss it. There was a chance. There was a good chance of a great moment on TV. Then now it's gone.
It's spot on, buddy. Absolutely, 100%. Hey, do me a favor. Write my name on your short list, because when you actually, in a year from now, are hiring, I want to get hired by you. I want to work for you. Your mindset is so cool. I definitely want to work. I want to work for you and follow in that direction. So let's talk a little bit about the future. We're closing in on time here. What are you thinking? Like, okay, Shark Tank's up, and even if there's a renewal and possibility, there's hiatus time, there's dark time. What do you chase after that? You go back to Florida? Are you trying to line something up?
I think part of me thinks, well, I'm just going to go back home, Florida. But another part of me says, that's not necessarily the case. I'm going to go wherever the work takes me. If there's something else here when this is done and I'm recommended for another position, I'm still going to be here. But I mean, realistically, I'll go wherever the work takes me. It really doesn't matter to me. I said earlier, I'm an East Coast guy. I like the East Coast. Nothing wrong with the West Coast. West Coast is beautiful. There's so much opportunity here. But I'm an East Coast guy. I have a lot of home base in the Northeast. I have, Florida's home, but I have most of my home base outside my immediate family is in the Northeast, New Jersey, New York area. And, I always thought that would be where I would want to end up. But always now, coming out of school, work comes first. So wherever that takes me, that's where I'll be in the next, few months, actually, because, this is my position's almost over. It, ends around mid to late November. So, you have a small period of hiatus time where you kind of figure out and start getting applications out. I've already started writing up applications to places. So definitely just wherever work takes me, I'll be more than thrilled to go. That's the way I've always looked at it.
Can I make a prediction?
Sure.
You're going to stay on the West Coast for a couple of years.
You think so?
Yeah, because you're going to roll from one to another. You have the right personality, you have the right skill set. People would be foolish not to hire you. The people who are around you are paying attention, and they're not going to let you fall between the cracks. And if they do, shame on them. Or they're going to make a recommendation to somebody else somewhere. So as you're churning and trying to chase it, my guess is you stay somewhat in that area until you rise to a position where you can look to transfer over to the East Coast. And as you said before, our industry is not necessarily going back to what it was in the olden days, 2019. This hybrid is here to stay. And there's certain crafts that have no real reason to come back. There's financial reasons why, networks and big studios don't want to carry the real estate if they don't have to. I mean, it's not just our industry. The financial industry in New York's doing the same thing. Why do we have 16 floors when nobody's here? And we're just as efficient, 20 to 2022 is we're making the same amount of money. So let's just do that. So post-production, graphics, I'm working with a lot of shows right now where the directors aren't even traveling. And, there's no trucks going out. They're working out of their bedrooms, directing shows. I have one of the directors I work with. It's hysterical and that he's physically directing my show in a control room. And right next to him, he has a laptop up and he's directing another show. And he's doing them simultaneously. And he doesn't miss a beat, so I don't care.
Incredible.
But the term double dipping has arrived at a whole new level now. And, you come from a generation that multitasking is instinctive. So like I said, I think like you may be working on an East Coast gig, but you're going to be in California. And then or you could come back home and still maintain your relationship with things out there. It all plays. Last question, because I'm an audio guy. Capturing the audio and transcribing the audio. It's one of those things that gets overlooked constantly. Like nobody really puts much stock in how important it is. How important is that guy who's mixing multiple mics with everybody talking?
Yeah, so one thing Shark Tank's a little this is what Mike the AE told me. He's like, they're a little different. They still do it old school. They have all separate mics for each shark, obviously, but they're all hooked up to separate cameras recording the audio separately. So you'll get a little bit of bleed from different mics. And when I'm transcribing this, it's helpful when they actually layer the audio on the transcription software. Sometimes they just chunk it all in at once. But so I'm able to solo out tracks and get what that person's saying, because this is a show where there's at least 6 talent, 5 sharks and an entrepreneur. Sometimes there's 5 sharks, 3 entrepreneurs. It's really tough when they're talking over each other, and that's the way they do audio. But they found, they've been doing it they said, Mike said to me, he's like, listen, they've been doing it for so long, and it's always worked for them. They're not going to change the way they do it. Why should they if it's working for them? And it makes it easier. It makes it, really easy for you guys in order to do that when we can break that down for you, and put it into the software. I spent 3 days on one pitch because they talked over each other the whole time, but I had to get it right. I had to solo every audio and get everything correct and in the right spot. But it was done right, and to me, that was the most important thing.
Yeah, that's obviously that is definitely how a lot of stuff is done. A lot of times, live you don't have that option. But in a show that's taped or pre-recorded, obviously, you can stack all those stems, and then you can just solo them out as they go down. Even just because the levels change, people go off mic, and then it's much easier to fix everything as we all say, fix it in post. So I'm going to stop right there. As I said, you were the first one on. I went back and looked. You were the first Ask an Insider at that time, called Ask a Pro, whatever it was. You were first. And in that statement, which I'm going to roll into this, I said, we'll have you back. And I knew you'd be back, but I knew you'd be back on location, because there was just no way your career was going to stall. So the next time I have you back, you can do my interview, because I'll be working for you. All right, Nick, great talking to you. Congratulations. Your family should be so proud of what you are. And if they don't get it, I'm saying it from a 30-plus year veteran. This is something you want to be really proud of.
Thank you so much, Joe. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
All right, brother. Be good. Peace. God bless.